Picture it, a packed Sunday night crowd, the lights, the noise, and then CeeDee Lamb limping off after a play that didn't even count. That image landed like a punch to Cowboys Nation. Lamb has been the engine of Dallas's offense for years, and anything that threatens him isn't just an injury update. It changes game plans, fantasy lineups, and the emotional temperature of a locker room. Here's a complete, no-fluff breakdown of what happened. What the MRI and doctors will be looking for, realistic timelines, how Dallas should adapt for Sunday Night Football against Green Bay, and what fans and fantasy managers should expect next. The immediate facts, what we know now. CeeDee Lamb suffered a left ankle injury early in Sunday's loss to the Bears. He left the game and was scheduled to get an MRI on Monday to determine the severity. ESPN.com. Early reporting and league sources indicate the Cowboys and NFL insiders are concerned it may be a high ankle sprain, the kind of injury that tends to be more stubborn and slower to heal than a lateral sprain. That diagnosis remains provisional, pending formal imaging and specialist review. Sport DFW Lamb told reporters he felt optimistic and absolutely believed he could play next week, and owner Jerry Jones said team doctors were hopeful the injury wasn't as serious as it could have been. Both quotes tell you the mood in the building. Guarded optimism until the MRI confirms more. NBC Sports. Why the MRI matters and what doctors will look for. An MRI is the key next step because it distinguishes the exact structures involved: the lateral ligaments, low ankle sprain, the syndesmosis, high ankle sprain, cartilage damage, or something more structural like a fracture or bone bruise. The treatment path and timeline hinge entirely on that detail. If soft tissue damage is mild, treatment is conservative, immobilization, RICE, controlled rehab. If the syndesmosis is disrupted significantly, the recovery can be much longer and sometimes even require surgical stabilization. The medical literature shows ligament healing can take multiple weeks to months depending on severity. PMC realistic recovery timelines separate the hope from the likely bad. Let's be blunt. Players always feel optimistic immediately after a hit. I can play is part confidence, part willpower. Objectively, timelines typically break down like this. Mild low ankle sprain, 1 to 2 weeks of rest and rehab. Quick returns are common for elite athletes. Moderate low sprain, 2 to 4 weeks depending on stability and functional testing. High ankle syndesmotic sprain, commonly 4 to 6 weeks for milder forms. Moderate to severe cases often require 6+ weeks and sometimes surgical fixation, which pushes rehab into months. To healthyfeet.com. Because early reports are pointing to a suspected high ankle sprain, the conservative and bookmakers number to watch is the 4 to 6 week window, but that's contingent on severity. It's not alarmist to say this could be a multi-week absence if the MRI confirms syndesmosis involvement. Sport DFW short-term implications for the Cowboys' game plan versus Green Bay. If Lamb is limited or out next Sunday, here's how Dallas should and very likely will pivot immediately. 1. Shrink the offense to what's safe. Shorter drops, quick reads, and emphasis on the underneath game. Dak Prescott or Joe Milton, if the QB rotation continues to be in flux, should get the ball out on slants, quick crossers, and screens that target Jefferson and Hawkinson in space. Number 2, lean on the run and play action. If Lamb is out, opening the box for Josh Jacobs or whoever is getting carries forces defenses to respect the run and creates manageable reads for the QB. Play action will be the clearest path to big plays without relying on Lamb's separation speed. 3. Feature TJ Hawkinson in slot work. Make Hawkinson the safety valve and increase slot target volume. Contested catches and yak will replace deep separation-dependent play designs. 4. Rotate and scheme receivers. Expect increased targets for Michael Gallup, Brandon Cooks, if available, and any versatile slot options. The offense must manufacture space for Jefferson and make the other pieces earn yardage after contact. On the other side, Green Bay will game plan to take away Jefferson and force other Cowboys to beat them. That makes ball security and smart play calling crucial for Dallas. Fantasy and betting takeaways. What to do if you own Lamb? Short answer, hold if possible, but hedge. If Lamb's MRI confirms a mild sprain and he's cleared, upside returns are immediate. But if it's a high ankle sprain requiring weeks of recovery, the Cowboys will distribute production. Jefferson's target share rises, and the Colts of the fantasy world we'll see short-term bump candidates, Gallup, Hawkinson, slot receivers, and perhaps even pass-catching RBs. Consider trading Lamb for a high-floor WR if you're in a win-now league and fear missing the next 2-6 weeks. Monitor the MRI report closely. That's the event that will move the market. What the Cowboys should do in personnel and practice this week. Contraction of practice reps. Let Lamb do limited non-contact work until imaging shows otherwise. Don't risk re-injury in a one-off. Install simplified packages for backups. Give reps to your two-thirds receivers in game scripts Lamb would normally face. Simulate Lamb's routes for timing for whoever steps up. Prepare contingency plans for special teams and red zone. Lost red zone threat? Design two-man stack plays or rolling pocket options to free up Hawkinson or Jefferson. How to read the signals from quotes and optimistic language. Players and owners will always put positive spin out to keep opponent and fan panic down. It's part of the sport. Jerry Jones saying it's not as serious as it could have been is encouraging, but not definitive. Insider hints of a high ankle sprain are the kind of reporting that should make Cowboys fans and fantasy owners brace for a multi-week window until the definitive imaging proves otherwise. Reuters' final frame. The bigger picture for Dallas Lamb is the focal point of this offense. Losing him, even temporarily, is a big tactical hit. But the Cowboys have the coaching staff, weapons, and urgency to adapt for a short stretch. The better question isn't whether they can cover one absence. They can. It's whether the team can sustain offensive identity and protect Dak or whoever's under center against top-tier defenses while Lamb rehabs. This is a test of depth, play-calling discipline, and the medical team's ability to balance short-term returns with long-term availability. One last thing to remember, NFL players have an uncanny capacity to accelerate healing with elite medical teams and rehab resources, but that doesn't mean betting the season on a rushed return is wise. Give Lamb the time if he needs it. Win the next game by design. Either way, watch the MRI report like your fantasy life depends on it, because in this case, it just might. Can CeeDee Lamb actually play next week? After exiting Sunday's blowout loss to the Bears with an ankle issue, Lamb says he's optimistic, and that single line could be the difference between a Cowboys season that sputters and one that still has life. Lamb left in the first quarter after suffering what looked like an ankle injury. It was the first time in his career he finished a game without a target. The team scheduled an MRI on Monday, get a clear diagnosis. Social media doctors have already been busy guessing timelines. 1 to 4 weeks is the range you'll hear most often. But Lamb told reporters he feels like he can play on Sunday night in Green Bay if the medical staff gives him the okay. Owner Jerry Jones echoed that optimism, saying team doctors believe the injury is not as serious as it could be. Why this matters? Lamb is the Cowboys' primary playmaker. When he's on the field, defenses can't key solely on one threat, and Dallas's offense turns explosive plays into consistent scoring drives. Without Lamb, the Cowboys lost rhythm. Dak Prescott was benched in the fourth quarter, and the offense managed just one touchdown in a game that exposed how dependent Dallas is on its top receiver. Losing Lamb for even a short stretch forces the coaching staff to alter play calls, lean heavier on the run, and expect other receivers and tight ends to step up immediately. What to watch for after the MRI? First, the grade of the sprain or whether imaging shows bruising and swelling only. A mild high ankle or low ankle sprain could still be managed with rest, tape, and limited reps, meaning a game day decision. A more significant sprain or ligament involvement pushes the timeline into multiple weeks. Second, look at snap counts. Even if Lamb clears, coaches may limit his workload early in the week to avoid aggravation. That's a common approach to protect long-term availability. Third, the Cowboys medical staff will balance short-term gain with long-term risk, and smart teams lean conservative when a season hinges on a star's health. How Dallas can respond now: diversify the targets, simplify reads for Prescott, and emphasize ball security and clock control. The Cowboys must also guard against the compounding effect of injuries and locker room uncertainty after a tough loss. If Lamb plays, expect him to be on a pitch count. If he doesn't, the offense must convert short fields and grind drives to keep pressure off the defense. Bottom line, this is a pivotal small moment with big implications. An MRI will set the facts, but Lamb's optimism and the team doctor's cautious hope are the only real positives this week. If he plays, Dallas gets a chance to reset on Sunday Night Football. If he doesn't, the next few games become a measuring stick for the depth and resilience of this roster.